jungle was alive with whispers. Leaves rustled, shadows moved, and strange glowing eyes watched from the dark. Daniel staggered forward, his boots sinking into the wet ground. His armor was broken, his weapon useless. The crash had thrown him far from his unit, and now he was alone. Smoke still rose in the distance, marking the place where his transport had been torn apart by alien fire. He touched his side and felt blood. The jungle creatures smelled it too. A low growl echoed behind him. He turned sharply, his breath fast. Out from the tall grass crawled a beast unlike anything he had ever seen. Long legs, sharp claws, and a mouth lined with too many teeth. Daniel tried to raise his weapon, but the gun clicked empty. He stumbled back, helpless. The beast hissed and pounced, and then everything changed. A shadow dropped from above, faster than the eye could follow. In a flash of claws and cold steel, the predator was torn apart. Black blood splashed across the ground. The creature collapsed, dead in seconds. Daniel froze, his heart racing. Slowly he lifted his eyes to the figure standing over him. She was tall, taller than any human. Her skin shimmered like obsidian stone, and her eyes glowed with pale silver light. Armor of bone and metal wrapped her body, and in her hand she held a blade that dripped with the beast's blood. Her face was striking, beautiful in a way that carried danger. And when she looked at him, she smiled, but her smile was ice. Daniel's voice cracked. What are you?" The woman tilted her head, her silver eyes unblinking. She spoke in a language he didn't understand at first, hissing, sharp, almost like the sound of blades. Then, as if amused, she switched to broken human speech. "You are mine now." Before Daniel could react, the jungle around him moved. Shapes stepped out from the shadows, dozens of them, smaller than the queen but still alien, still terrifying. Their bodies were lean, their movements restless, their mouths filled with needle-like teeth. They circled him like wolves. Their eyes glowed with hunger. One of them hissed, snapping its jaws. Another licked the air as if tasting the scent of his blood. Daniel stumbled back. No, stay away." But the tall woman raised her hand and the brood froze instantly. Their hunger was real, but their loyalty to her was stronger. She looked down at Daniel, her smile widening. "They are hungry, very hungry, but they will not eat you." "Not yet." Daniel's chest tightened. "Not yet, then. Why did you save me?" The queen leaned close. Her voice was soft but carried the weight of command. "Because you have a task. You will train them. By dawn they must be strong." Her silver eyes burned into his. "If they are not, they will feed on you instead." The brood hissed at her words, their sharp teeth glinting in the dim light. They were eager. They were ready. Daniel shook his head. "Train them? I'm not a trainer. I'm a soldier, yes, but..." Her icy smile returned. "Soldier, perfect. Show them what it means to fight. Show them how to kill with purpose, not just hunger." She straightened, towering above him like a shadow carved from the night. "This is your choice. Make them strong, or be their meal." Daniel's heart pounded. His mind raced for escape, but he saw none. The brood had surrounded him completely. Their glowing eyes pierced the dark like stars, unblinking, waiting. The queen turned, her black armor glinting faintly. She sat on a large stone, her blade across her knees, and watched, silent, patient. It was clear. This was a test. Daniel swallowed hard. He looked at the brood. Their bodies were tense, restless, twitching with instinct. They wanted to leap at him, to tear him apart. But they also watched him curious, waiting for what he would do. He thought of his training, his battles. He remembered what his sergeant used to say, even the wildest beast can learn fear. Even fear can become discipline. Daniel took a slow breath. He crouched, meeting the glowing eyes of the brood. "All right," he whispered, his voice trembling. "If I'm going to live, then you're going to learn." One of the broodlings lunged forward suddenly, its claws swiping close to his face. Daniel didn't flinch. He stepped aside, grabbed a stick from the ground, and struck its arm hard. The broodling hissed, stunned, and fell back. The others froze. They looked at him differently now. Daniel held the stick like a weapon. His voice grew louder, firmer. "You attack without thinking. You waste energy. That's why you fail," the brood hissed, restless. One of them snarled. Another tilted its head, watching. The queen's cold smile widened. Daniel took another step forward. He pointed the stick at the largest broodling. "Come." Again. The jungle was silent except for the sound of his own breathing. The brood circled him once more, their hunger sharp, their movements tense. The queen's voice broke the silence, soft as a whisper but sharp as a blade. "Train them, human. Dawn is not far." Her silver eyes gleamed. "And remember, if they fail, they will not go hungry." Daniel stood in the circle, heart hammering, surrounded by alien predators. His every move now mattered. Survival was no longer about running. It was about teaching monsters how to kill, before they killed him, and the night had only just begun. The night in the jungle was endless. Strange cries echoed from the distance, and glowing insects drifted like sparks in the humid air. But inside the circle of the brood, all eyes were fixed on one man. Daniel stood in the center, his body tense, a crude stick still gripped in his hand. Around him, the brood hissed and growled, restless with hunger. They wanted to tear him apart. Only their queen's command kept them from leaping. She sat on her throne of stone, silent and cold, watching. Her silver eyes gleamed with amusement. To her, this was entertainment. To Daniel, it was survival. One of the broodlings lunged suddenly, claws flashing. Daniel sidestepped, swinging the stick hard against its shoulder. The creature shrieked and rolled on the ground. The others laughed in their strange, hissing way. Daniel pointed the stick at them. His voice was firm, though his hands shook. "You see? Strength alone is nothing. If you fight like animals, you die like animals." The brood hissed louder. Some snarled, angry at his words, but others tilted their heads, curious. Daniel swallowed hard. He realized something important. These creatures were wild, but not stupid. They could learn. He drew a line in the dirt with his stick. "Here, one side attacks, the other side defends." The brood stared, confused. Daniel's voice grew sharper. "You want to eat? Then learn to fight with purpose." At first, none moved. They didn't understand his strange human game. But when the queen gave a soft hiss of command, half of the brood stepped to one side, the others to the opposite. Daniel felt a cold sweat. Even their obedience was not truly to him, it was to her. He had to change that. He demonstrated quickly. He pushed one broodling back, showing how to stand firm, how to block with its arm. He tapped another with his stick, showing it how to wait before striking. The broodlings hissed, snapping their jaws, impatient. But slowly the idea began to take shape. One tried to strike in rhythm with another. One waited, then lunged when Daniel gave the signal. It was clumsy. It was chaotic, but it was progress. Hours passed. Daniel's body ached, sweat dripping down his face. He forced himself to stay strong. If he showed weakness, the brood would smell it. He made them repeat again and again. Strike, defend, wait, attack together. Each time they grew faster. Each time they grew more dangerous. When one broodling disobeyed, leaping to bite him, Daniel didn't hesitate. He shoved his stick into its jaws and forced it down, pressing his knee against its chest. His voice roared with fury. "No! Discipline, or you die." The brood hissed, shocked by his sudden dominance. For the first time, their glowing eyes looked at him not with hunger, but with something close to respect. From her stone seat, the queen watched, her icy smile never fading. She leaned her chin on her hand, her silver eyes glinting. "Interesting," she whispered. By midnight, Daniel had them moving as a pack. They circled him, attacking not all at once, but in turns. Some distracted while others struck. It was still rough, still wild, but there was coordination now, something more than blind hunger. Daniel dropped his stick, panting hard. Better, still weak, but better. The broodlings hissed in satisfaction, their eyes burning with new fire. But hunger still gnawed at them. They licked their teeth, their gaze shifting between Daniel and each other. They were learning. But would that stop them from tearing him apart? The queen finally stood, her tall figure casting a shadow over the brood. Her voice was cold and smooth. "You gave them something, not strength, but order. They have never known this." Daniel stared at her, his chest heaving. "You forced me into this. What do you really want from me?" The queen tilted her head, smiling faintly. "To see if a human can turn predators into hunters. To see if you can give them more than instinct." to see if you are worth keeping alive. Her eyes narrowed. Dawn is near, and they are not ready yet. The brood hissed at her words. They understood. If they failed, they would feast on him. The hunger in their eyes sharpened again. Daniel clenched his fists. He had bought himself time, nothing more. He looked at the brood, meeting their glowing stares. His voice was low but firm. You want strength? Then listen to me, because if you fail, you'll kill me, but she'll kill you too. The brood fell silent. For the first time, fear flickered in their eyes. Not fear of him, but fear of their queen. Daniel took advantage of it. Together we can survive her test. Alone you die. Choose. The queen's cold laughter echoed through the jungle. It was not the laughter of joy, but of someone who already knew the ending. Daniel's heart pounded. He had shown them a glimpse of discipline, but was it enough? The sky above the jungle began to pale. Dawn was coming, and with it, judgment. The jungle sky was turning gray. Dawn crept closer with every heartbeat. The brood hissed and shifted restlessly, their hunger sharpening as the night grew thin. Daniel wiped the sweat from his brow, forcing himself to stand tall. His body ached from hours of training. His voice was hoarse, his legs weak. But he knew, if he slowed down even for a moment, they would eat him alive. He faced the brood again, their glowing eyes fixed on him. One more time, he said firmly. Form up, move as one. The brood snarled, snapping their teeth, but they obeyed. They circled him, smaller bodies crouched low, muscles tense. This time, they did not leap at random. They moved in a rhythm, a pattern, almost like soldiers. For the first time, Daniel saw it. Discipline in their movements. Not perfect, not polished, but real. Suddenly, one of the larger broodlings broke away. Its eyes burned with rage. It was not hungry for training. It was hungry for him. With a roar, it lunged straight at Daniel. He barely had time to raise his stick. The creature slammed into him, claws tearing across his arm. Pain flared. Blood ran hot down his skin. Daniel staggered back, his weapon shattering under the force of the strike. The broodling hissed triumphantly, jaws wide, ready to bite into his throat. Daniel's survival instincts exploded. With a desperate shout, he rammed his knee into the creature's chest and grabbed a sharp stone from the ground. He pressed it against its throat, holding it there with raw fury. The brood froze. The jungle went silent. Daniel's voice thundered, stronger than the pain in his body. You want to kill me? Then prove you're smarter than an animal. This is not strength. This is weakness. The broodling beneath him hissed, but it stopped struggling. Its silver eyes flicked between Daniel's face and the stone at its neck. Slowly, Daniel released it and stood tall, blood dripping down his arm. The broodling crouched low, bowing its head in submission. The others hissed, their eyes wide. For the first time, they had seen him not just as prey, but as something more. On her stone throne, the queen watched silently, the corner of her lips curved upward. Interesting, she whispered again. Daniel clenched his bleeding arm, forcing himself to ignore the pain. He raised his voice, pointing at the brood. This is your first lesson of blood. Power without discipline is nothing. You want to be strong? Then control yourselves. Fight as one, or you are nothing but food for stronger hunters. The brood hissed, restless, but they listened. Their eyes no longer burned only with hunger. There was something new, something closer to respect. The training continued. Daniel showed them how to move in pairs, how to strike together instead of apart. When one attacked, the other defended. When one fell, the others covered. They were savage but fast learners. Each failure ended in growls and hisses, but each success lit their eyes with fierce pride. Hours passed. The jungle shifted around them, the cries of beasts fading as the night surrendered to dawn. Daniel's mind burned with exhaustion, but he pushed forward. He saw the change growing in them. They were not just wild anymore. They were beginning to feel like a pack. His pack. At one point, A smaller broodling stumbled, too slow to dodge. Another snapped at it, ready to kill the weak one. Daniel stepped between them instantly, shoving the attacker back with a shout. "No! You fight together. Weakness is not an excuse to destroy your own. Protect each other." The brood hissed, confused, but they pulled back. The smaller one looked at him with wide, glowing eyes. For a moment, Daniel felt something strange, a connection. It was brief, but real. When the queen finally rose, her tall figure casting a shadow across the clearing, the brood fell silent. Her silver eyes studied Daniel, then her children. "They are not the same as before," she said coldly. "You gave them order, and something else, a bond." Daniel met her eyes, chest heaving. "If they fight as a pack, they'll be stronger. Stronger than your enemies, stronger than anything in this jungle." Her icy smile returned. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you are only feeding them lies before they feed on you." She stepped closer, her presence like a storm. "Do not mistake their obedience for loyalty. They are mine, always mine. You are nothing but a tool, and a meal waiting to happen." The brood hissed softly, shifting uneasily. Their eyes flicked between their queen and their human teacher. For the first time, there was conflict in their stares, hunger and respect. Daniel felt it too. A strange bond was forming between him and these predators, but bonds could be dangerous. Would they protect him or betray him? The queen's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Dawn is here. Soon they will be tested. If they are strong, you live. If not, they feast." Her smile was cold as ice. "And either way, I will enjoy the outcome." Daniel looked at the brood, his blood still dripping, his body trembling with exhaustion. Yet in their glowing eyes he saw more than hunger. He saw trust, fragile, dangerous, but trust all the same. He clenched his fists and whispered, more to himself than to them, "If I'm going to survive this, then we survive together." The first rays of dawn broke through the jungle canopy, and with it came the queen's final command. The trial begins. The first light of dawn cut through the thick jungle canopy. Mist curled between the roots and vines, glowing faintly in the morning sun. The world was waking, but for Daniel, the morning brought no peace. The queen rose from her stone throne, her silver eyes burning in the pale light. The brood hissed, their bodies tense, hungry for the challenge to come. Her voice rang cold and sharp. "The night of training is over. Now comes the test. Prove your strength, or feed the jungle." She gestured toward the tree line. Shapes moved in the mist, large, heavy, and terrifying. Daniel's breath caught. Predators, not the small beasts he had seen before. These were massive armored creatures with claws, as long as swords and jaws built to crush bone. Their growls rumbled through the ground, shaking the air. The brood hissed back, but fear flickered in their eyes. Daniel clenched his fists. This was it, the trial that would decide his fate. The predators burst from the mist with a roar. One charged straight at the brood. The younglings scattered, their instincts taking over. "No," Daniel shouted. "Together. Circle it." His voice cut through their panic. Some obeyed, darting back into position. They surrounded the predator, striking at its flanks, biting and clawing. The beast swung its massive tail, sending two of them crashing into the mud. Daniel grabbed a sharp branch, running forward. He jabbed it into the creature's eye, forcing it back. "Now! Strike together!" The brood leapt at once. Dozens of claws dug into its flesh, dragging it down. The predator thrashed, but the pack did not let go. At last it collapsed, dead. The brood hissed in triumph. For the first time they had hunted as one, but there was no time to celebrate. Two more predators crashed into the clearing, their jaws snapping. Daniel barked orders like a commander on the battlefield. "You distract it from the left. You two circle wide. Trap it." The brood obeyed. They moved not as wild beasts, but as a trained unit. one distracted with swift attacks, while others ambushed from behind. The predators fought fiercely, their roars shaking the trees. One broodling was struck down, its chest torn open. The others hesitated for a moment, then Daniel's voice thundered, "Do not stop. Fight for each other." Rage filled their eyes. They lunged together, pulling the predators to the ground. Blood soaked the earth. The brood roared in victory, their bond sealed in blood. On her throne, the queen watched silently. Her cold smile did not change, but her eyes narrowed. She had expected failure, but what she saw was something else. These were not her brood alone anymore. They had become something new, creatures of instinct, sharpened by human strategy. Her voice was soft but dangerous. "You are changing them, human." Daniel stood in the mud, chest heaving, blood on his hands. He looked at the brood, some wounded, some trembling, but all alive except one. They were stronger now, fiercer. He met her gaze and said through clenched teeth, "I gave them what you couldn't, more than hunger, more than fear. I gave them purpose." The queen tilted her head. Her icy smile widened. "Purpose or rebellion?" Her words struck like knives. Daniel realized the truth. By teaching them, he might also be defying her control. The brood, too, seemed to feel the tension. They looked between their queen and their human teacher. Their hisses were uncertain, their loyalty split. The final predator emerged from the jungle, larger than the rest. Its scales glistened like armor, and its roar shook the trees. Daniel's heart pounded. This was the true test. If they failed now, all was lost, he shouted, voice raw. "Form the trap! Do it as we practiced." The brood leapt into action. Some darted forward to bait the beast. Others climbed the trees, waiting for the signal. The predator lunged at Daniel, jaws wide. He rolled aside, grabbing a fallen spear-like bone. "Now!" he roared. The brood dropped from above, tearing into its back. Others struck its legs, forcing it down. Daniel drove the bone deep into its throat. The monster collapsed with a thunderous crash. For a moment, silence ruled the jungle. Then the brood roared in unison, their victory cry echoing into the dawn. The queen rose, her tall figure looming over them all. Her icy smile was gone now, replaced with something sharper, colder. "You made them strong," she said slowly. "Stronger than I imagined." She stepped closer, her eyes burning into Daniel's. "But strength always comes with a price." The brood hissed softly, their eyes fixed on her, waiting for her judgment. Daniel stood tall, even through exhaustion. His voice was steady. "They survived. They are ready. I kept my part of the deal. So what about mine?" The queen's silver eyes narrowed. She leaned close, her whisper colder than the dawn breeze. "You live, for now, but the final test still remains." Her icy smile returned. "Let us see if they are loyal to me. Or to you." Daniel's stomach tightened. He looked at the brood. Their glowing eyes flickered with something he had not seen before. Conflict. The trial against the jungle was over, but the true trial was about to begin. The sun rose higher, spilling golden light through the mist. The jungle was silent now. Broken predators lying across the blood-soaked ground. The brood crouched around Daniel, their eyes glowing faintly, their bodies tense. They had survived the trial. They had fought as one, but the true danger was not the jungle. It was the queen. She stepped down from her stone throne, moving like a shadow through the morning light. Her icy smile cut across her pale face. Each step she took sent a ripple of fear through the brood. "You made them strong," she said, her voice soft but sharp as blades. "But now we see if they are truly mine, or yours." Her words struck Daniel like thunder. He understood what was coming, the final test. The queen raised one long, clawed hand. The brood froze. Their glowing eyes shifted between her and Daniel, torn between instinct and loyalty. "Children," she said, her voice like cold wind, "you have feasted on prey. You have hunted the jungle. Now, prove yourselves." Her smile widened, cruel and merciless. "Take him. Tear him apart. Feed on the teacher who thinks himself your master." The brood hissed, claws digging into the dirt. Some stepped forward, hunger flashing in their eyes. Others stayed back, their bodies trembling with conflict. Daniel felt his chest tighten. His mind raced. He had taught them trust, unity, and purpose. But would it matter now? Or would raw instinct win? One broodling lunged at him with a shriek. Daniel twisted aside, grabbing a broken spear from the ground. He held it firm, his voice booming like thunder. Stop. Remember what I taught you. You are not beasts, you are more. The broodling hissed, slashing at him, but its movements hesitated. Others growled, circling him, caught between hunger and respect. The queen's silver eyes glowed with amusement. Fight, human. Prove your words mean anything. The next moment exploded into chaos. Half the brood attacked, their jaws snapping. Daniel swung the spear, knocking them back, refusing to kill them. Think. Work together. Not against each other, he shouted. One broodling, one of the smallest, darted forward, not to attack Daniel, but to tackle another broodling that tried to strike him. The clash sent both tumbling into the dirt. The pack froze. Their instincts fought their new bond. Daniel saw the chance. He raised his voice, raw and desperate. You are stronger than hunger, stronger than fear. Look at each other. You're not enemies, you are a pack. The words sank in. The brood hissed and growled, but slowly, claws lowered. Their glowing eyes shifted from Daniel to the queen. For the first time, they disobeyed her command. The queen's icy smile faded. You dare, she whispered, her voice dripping venom, to turn my brood against me. Daniel stood tall, chest heaving. He dropped the spear. I didn't turn them. They chose. They chose to fight with purpose, not just hunger. The queen's body stiffened. Her wings flared wide, blotting out the sun. A hiss filled the clearing, sharp and furious. You think you are their leader? You are nothing but meat I spared for convenience. She raised her claws, ready to strike him down. The brood shrieked, surrounding Daniel, their bodies forming a wall. They hissed at their own queen. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Then the queen laughed, low, bitter and dangerous. So, she said, her icy smile returning, they follow you now. A human. Her silver eyes gleamed, not with anger but with something far more dangerous. Very well. You live, they live. For now. She stepped back, folding her wings. Her cold gaze lingered on Daniel. But remember this, strength breeds enemies. One day, they will hunger again. And when that day comes, her smile cut like a knife. Perhaps you will feed them after all. The queen turned, her shadow vanishing into the mist. The jungle grew quiet again, but the air was heavy with her words. Daniel sank to the ground, exhausted. The brood circled him, hissing softly, not with hunger, not with rage, but with loyalty. For the first time he realized something impossible had happened. He was not their prey. He was not just their teacher, he was their leader. Daniel looked at the rising sun. The jungle stretched endless before him. He did not know what future awaited him, whether the queen would strike again, whether the brood's loyalty would last, or whether hunger would one day win. But in this moment, he had survived, and more than that, he had done what no one else could. He had given monsters a reason to fight beyond instinct. He had given them hope. The brood hissed their victory cry into the dawn, their voices echoing like thunder, and Daniel whispered to himself, his voice steady, his eyes hard, if I must fight, then I will. If I must lead, then I will. And if I must turn even monsters into something greater. His gaze lifted toward the horizon. Then so be it.